Hi, Hongquan. Welcome to the Investor Talk. It's my great pleasure having you. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. Thanks so much for your time. So let's start. If you want to give an introduction to yourself.
Yeah. So my name is Hongquan Jiang. I'm a partner of Bosch Venture Capital. So this is the corporate venture arm of Bosch Group. We are based in Germany, but we invest worldwide. So we do have office in the Valley, in Israel, and also we have quite some activity in China. So we are focused in technology, so deep tech investment, and it's relatively phase agnostic. So we could invest in early stage deals, but also in growth stage.
Me, being Bosch, and I suppose Bosch will be, I don't know if the only shareholder, but probably is going to be the main one. You describe your fund as a corporate venture capital fund.
That's right. Um, but so indeed, so Bosch contributes the entire proceeds to our fund. On the other hand, we are organized in a way that we are quite similar to institutional VC. So it's a separate legal entity. We have a quite independent decision power, and we really care about the interest of the funders and also our co-investors. So a little bit different type of corporate VC.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I mean, in which area geography do you prefer to invest?
Entire Europe, East, West Europe, UK, Nordic, and North America. So it's US, the entire US, East and West Coast, but also Canada and Israel and China.
I mean, they are all developed countries. What about developing countries, emerging markets? Do you invest in emerging markets?
Well, we believe that venture capital is a local business, so you need to have local offices and local network. So as long as we don't have all our branch in all this country, we don't really do that, unless if you have some company out of emerging countries, but they would move their headquarter or some subsidiaries to Europe or to US, then we would do that type of investment.
Thank you. How much do you normally invest in terms of ticket?
Yeah, nowadays, so currently we are in our fifth fund. So actually, we have been around for 15 years. So in total, it's more than 800 million euro under management. And the latest fund, we are moving towards a little bit later stage. So I would say something between 5 to 10 million in the first investment, but then we reserve some more money for the follow-on investment.
Thank you. I mean, you invest in both early stage and growth stage. What and I presume they're very different stage. But what are the top concerns, and where do you find the convention for when it comes to investing? The company, the team, the product.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think as an investor, you always need to find some excitement. I would say excitement is the key. So you need to find something in this company. In the early stage, normally you would look. So we are deep tech investors. So normally you would look into the uniqueness of the technology. So if somebody invents something that could change the world, and we understand that, this could be sufficient. In the later stage, we would like to look into the commercial adoption. So can you scale? Can you quickly enter the market? And which type of customer need are you fulfilling. So these are type of questions. And always, I think the quality of the funder is the key for our decision.
I mean, I do believe in early stage, the team is so important. And when you move to the growth stage, actually, they've done something. So more performance-based judgment. Is that right?
That's correct. On the other hand, I think depending on the stage, you require different type of quality of the management. So a great funder moving a company from a seed stage to a maybe even B stage might not be qualified for a pre-IPO stage company. So, but we do see great founders. They grow with the company, and this is the best thing you can have, that can happen to you.
They grow together. How important is face to face when it comes to investments? For example, you said already before anyway, be local. Being geographically close to the founders, no or not being, for example, can be a limitation.
Yeah, if you ask people in the US, or normally the West Coast investor would invest in West Coast within a certain circuit of drive time, right? But in Europe, it's different. You have so many different hubs, and you can not really cover all the cities. So I think we develop a different working mode. So it is important. Normally, we meet the founders and see the company face to face, and several times visiting the company before an investment. But for screening the market, for the initial discussion, it doesn't matter. So we really prefer having a Zoom call at first, and then going forward.
You already asked to answer to my next question exactly, and my next question was, how often do you like to meet the founders? So you said already you're okay with the Zoom call, which is very pandemic related, okay? But now it's becoming normal. So do you think founders can approach you just with a Zoom call to have a first conversation?
This is not just a pandemic. We are based in Stuttgart and in Germany, and most of my investment personally are in UK. So it is actually quite normal for us to get contact to these guys, and having first impression. And normally we would also ask for our internal or external expert to make some judgment. So these type of things can always be done with remotely, so with a Zoom call or whatever. But then, if we are really serious, I would like to see the people and visit the company.
But when it comes to investing, when you decided that maybe they are the right one, you need to meet them face to face.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
And what
even
about
before the final decision. So actually, you can really find a lot of things in the personal interaction, and at a dinner, discussing with people, talking about maybe not less business related topics. So these are all very important input for me to make a final decision.
I mean, how involved did you get with your portfolio? I mean, how you add value to them?
I think it is quite natural as a corporate VC. So if people like to take our money, they think there will be some synergy, and it should be a win-win situation. So we regularly try to connect our portfolio company to our business people. So maybe there's some business relationship. It's not mandatory, but this is things that we regularly do. And then we could also coach people. So sometime in the very early stage, the company, they are not ready yet close collaboration with a giant company, right? So they would like to understand the market. They would like to understand the requirement. So this type of input could be very valuable for the company. And then we are normally active investors. So depending on the shareholding. So if we have some substantial shareholding, then we would take a board seat, and then we would really give more input for the company. So,
Thank you. I mean, how related has to be the investment? You say you're pretty agnostic when it comes to sector and region, but exactly when it comes to the sector, the startup you invest in should have some kind of connection in somehow with the main business or Bosch.
this is a very good question. I think we manage this balance with a lot of care. We don't like to invest in companies that have too close business relationship with Bosch. If this is the case, so if a business unit will say, you please invest on behalf of us because we have some business purpose A and B. This is nothing we would like to do, because then the business units, they should do their invest by them own. We are VCs, so we invest long term. On the other hand, it should not be that the company or the domain has nothing to do with Bosch. So we would like to invest into fields that we could contribute, where we understand very well. And so it is kind of the next generation thing. So it's not the current business purpose. Because I think the trap for many CVC is you are too business unit oriented.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the business unit change their agenda, or they have a different business decision, then the VC arm will not be sustainable. So you would change with the politics or the policy of the company constantly. This is very harmful. So we try to avoid it. On the other hand, a large company like Bosch really need to see the innovation in the future. You cannot really predict or do everything else in-house. So this is the purpose. So we try to build ecosystem.
I mean, I think the beauty of startup is you can free them. They can think, they can try without, be worried to fail. If you put inside a corporation, mentality is completely different.
Absolutely, I agree. I think sometime a large company could learn a lot from the startup in terms of speed, flexibility, and the creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Would you be a lead investor?
Yes, yes. We could. We are very flexible. We could lead, we could follow. So it's not. There's no rigid rule for that.
I mean, as you cover early growth stage, many startups, they need several rounds to grow, be sustainable, maybe one day even be profitable, give to the DVC or CVC the exit. Now, did you get involved with following rounds, connections, or whatever outside your follow-up? I'm talking.
Yes, once we are invested, we take care of our companies if it's necessary. So some company needs more help than other, and I think yes, follow-on investment or follow-on financing round, and also defining the financing strategy. So this is a very important task for investor.
I mean, I see quite big difference between how the CVC and VC approach the diversity of the portfolio. In your case, as corporate VC, do you see any interaction? You said already something before between all the startup you invested. Should they have some kind of interaction?
Absolutely. So sometimes we we have event and inviting the startups together. So the CEOs or the funders could meet each other. And if we see some business relationship or possible potential business relationship, we would just make an intro. Having said that, I'm always a little bit skeptical if a startup is doing business with another startup, right? So you really, I would always advise people focusing on the large companies, the more established company. So this is a real proof.
Yeah, I agree. How do you see failure when it comes to your portfolio? What's your approach when a startup fail? Because they fail, there is nothing to do.
Well, this happens. I mean, this is the nature of our business. And if it fails, you have two choices. One is you still think you can make things happen. So we spent some time in the past to make a pivot of the company happen. So then, if you still have the confidence in the company, you can do that. It's a tremendous amount of work, and you need to have the commitment and the will of the funders. Or it fails, then that's it. So you need to let it go.
You use a very important word, pivoting. Uh, what's your suggestion to? Would you recommend to founders when it comes to pivot? They should understand when it's time to pivot because okay, perseverance is extremely important. Absolutely agree, and I love perseverance. But there is a day where you understand that your business model simply cannot work, so you need to pivot.
Yes. And my recommendation is if you pivot every 3 or 6 months, this might be a healthy thing. So it might not be the pivot, but adapting yourself to the market condition. And I think this is something you always need to do. You cannot rely on an initial business plan or maybe a budget and then just go for it and without looking left and right. So the ever-changing market environment and maybe your judgment at the beginning was wrong. So I think this is a attitude and behavior a founder should have, for being always being very flexible, agile to change your business, willing to change your business. But if we're talking about the real pivot, actually this is a tragedy, right? It's a little bit too late. So you somehow the original idea failed, and you need to start with a new idea. But still, this is also the nature of the business. So if you think you still have the confidence and backing of the investors, then just do it.
How important is in pivoting? Because okay, you change your idea, but idea can only be changed if you have enough cash to allow so. So what's your again recommendation? Because many times you see funders they raise money, they burn 100K per month, and they raise for 12 months, and there is no left, nothing left. And they start raising the money 3, 6 months before, even 3 months before the runaway goes. I mean, there is no more cash. If you don't
Yeah.
have cash, you can't pivot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think cash management is the most important task of a CEO. So, and you need to manage your cash. You need to keep the burn low as possible before you know the right direction. And once you know the right direction, you really may want to increase the expense because you want to accelerate. So this is a very fine line of the balance. So if I do see the other side of the coin, so people don't spend money even if the market situation is clear, then you will miss the opportunity. So I think this is a very critical quality and a critical decision, maybe together with the board.
Why do you become an investor?
Yeah, I think this is a very exciting profession, and you cannot plan it. So I didn't plan it. So I was in I by accident. So I was in the industry and did R&D and other stuff. But then I worked within a incubator, and so this is also within Bosch, and built some startups. And then all of a sudden, Bosch built its corporate VC arm. So that it was a very natural move, but it was never planned for me. But I enjoyed a lot.
I mean, we are biased, but I do believe investing in venture capital, because investing in private equity is completely different way to go. And venture capital is very exciting.
I agree.
Very, very exciting. I come from private equity, but I had to say the difference is massive.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. The vision is unbelievable, different, and even the outcome can be beautiful, can be very painful, but can be so exciting. Which are the critical points that trigger, in the end, your decision to invest?
Um, as I said, it's depending on the different stage, and I think each and every deal has a different aspect. It's not always similar, and so whether it is unique technology differentiation, which could change the world, or it is the capability to quickly scale. So it's really depending on the deals. But you need to have really something that is really unique and protectable.
I'm completely sure you see so many page per day, per month, per year. We are talking about thousands. It's uncountable number. But to the founders, what can be a perfect receipt? I know there is not perfect receipt, but what can be a good receipt for a great pitch to convince you?
Yeah, I think it is. So the biggest mistake people could do is technology looking for solution, right? Or looking for problems, looking for problems, and so very clear problems to be solved. Why is this important? Why it does matter? And I think this is the key. And secondly, I think keep the message clear and simple. And many funders would like to go into details, showing their competencies and giving you a bunch of backgrounds. But I think really giving people the big picture. This is very important. You have several minutes to get people interested, and if people are interested, and the rest, the details, can follow. So then we would have the entire time of the world to listen. But if the investor is not interested, then you're gone within several minutes.
I mean, what about, I've seen so many 20, 30, 40 pages stack. I mean, do you think it's too long?
It depends. So if you have one, I think more than an hour pitch time is luxury, right? So, but normally you should be able to um, uh, get the story over within maybe 20 minutes, even less. So we do see a pitch event with 4 minutes, 6 minutes. So this is not about details. This is really about how to tease people to get interested.
Yeah,
So depending on the time you get.
yeah, absolutely agree. Uh, Now, being in Bosch, I presume B2B is pretty common for you as an investment. So, what about the IP, intellectual property, belonging to the startup for you to be appealing and investing? It's a crucial point.
Absolutely. I cannot. So you could you could license IP from other institutions. So if it would be a spin out of a research institute, then we would take care of the IP license, so which right you get granted. But other than that, if it's just funding by the funders, so you'd better have the IP by yourself. Yes.
But what's your point of view on protecting IP, especially when it comes to the early stage? It's pretty expensive.
Yes, that's true. For me, IP is not just patent. So IP could also be trade secret, recipes, and so if you just take an example, if you do analog semiconductor, so there's not. Sometimes it's about the process. How do you do that? You don't even want to file a patent because then you would tell your competitor how you do that, and you cannot prove that they infringe the IP. So it really depends, but you need to have a competitive barrier of your technology so that people cannot copy.
Yeah, right. Sometimes patents can be even counterproductive.
It's education, right?
What's the suggested to funders when approaching a VC?
I think very important is to select the right investor. So you don't want to waste time to go to pitch the wrong investor, and the investor could be right for the next round, but totally wrong for this round. So get more intelligence in the market, understand who is investing in which stage and what's their favorite type of company. Because the worst thing you can do is really you go around in Europe and talking to 100 VCs, and they put you into their database, and you are rejected, and you're brandmarked for forever.
Yeah, that's a big mistake. I agree. Should the startup doing their own due diligence to investors?
That's right.
Let me close with this one. I mean, what can be the best and most promising sector for any founders to get involved in the next coming years?
Yeah. First of all, obviously, funders should do whatever he can do. So, what is his expertise, right? So, but apart from that, I think we do see some mega trends. So, I really would like to invest into these large trends, and with the mega trends, there's a much higher possibility that you could become successful. So we are talking about, or we're seeing the transition of the society from into the carbon neutrality, for example. And we see the mobility concept is changing. This is really changing the entire society from combustion to electric vehicle, and we see the hydrogen as a new form of energy. And so I think energy and environmental technology. So this is really the the biggest trends in the next decade. So this should be taken care. And then I think now we have some geopolitical tension, and the world is changing. So some domain becomes more strategic for different reasons. And in the past, I wouldn't invest in a analog semiconductor company because this is solved. But nowadays, you due to the supply chain shortage and strategic consideration, maybe you could invest different things in different continents. So I think these are the mega trends that people should consider, and then before they fund a company.
I mean, you are extremely well positioned for my. This is the last one, I promise. But it's very touching to me. Where do you see mobility going?
Yeah, I think it is actually very clear. So all the major OEMs, they are stopped. They have stopped developing the combustion engine. And you may see some facelift and some small improvement, but there will be no next generation of combustion engine based vehicles. So actually, this is moving clearly into the electric vehicle, electric driven, and for commercial vehicles, for long distance, for some special vehicles, battery driven is not sufficient. So we will see a mixture of battery and fuel cell driven cars and trucks.
Hongquan, I mean, I would love to talk for hours, but unfortunately, we have a limited time. Thank you very much for coming to the Investor Talk. It's been an absolute pleasure for me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.